Whew.
That's the way to start the video.
I'm kickstarting it, man. I'm just like,
yeah.
Get the whiskey buzz going.
Yes. Hello, everybody. As you can see, this is a very unique wine check. So we have a guest today. This is Jen from the Book Refuge. And when I decided today I'm going to talk about Highlander romance, I was like, you know who's an expert? Jen. So I reached out and I was like, hey, do you want to talk about some guilty pleasures? And she said yes, and I'm very excited. So, Jen, why don't you introduce yourself while I open my wine, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm Jen. I've been on YouTube for almost 4 years. And funnily enough, everybody, Amanda's one of the reasons why I was brave enough to switch to like romance talking. I know. It was a few people, but I would talk about my romances, but I would just be like, oh yeah, and I'm also reading some Julia Quinn this week, and I'd like move along. When the pandemic hit, I was like, you know what? I don't need these angsty fantasies that aren't giving me happily ever afters right now. I just want the smut. I wanted I want sexy times, and I want to know it's going to work out and nobody's going to die in the end. And so I did it. But yeah, it was like you and Bethany and Jessica were the reasons why I was like, I can talk about romance. There's people who will talk about that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I didn't know that, but I'm glad I encouraged your smutty delight talk.
Yes, it's kind of the best. We all need that escape. So yeah, that's me.
I love it. You know it's going to turn out well. It's just like guaranteed happy ending, and people are going to have smutty times.
I mean, it's one of the there can be a lot of anxiety in a book. There can be a lot of angst. But when you know you're promised a happily ever after, I will go through anything with you. That's why I love dark romance. That's why I love, really angsty historicals. It's like whatever they're going through, they're going to kiss and be together at the end. And I like that. So
personally, I'm a fan of the rom-com.
Yes.
I like zaniness. I want zaniness in my romances. That's where I live. So before we get into more kilty delights, we're going to talk Highlander romance today, everybody. Also, let's say the comments. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
And also, hi Beth, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. And today we are drinking this lovely Trimbach Riesling. There we go. Now it's not all blown out by my lights. And this is from Alsace in France. And I want to talk about it for just a hot second because I was never into Riesling until recently because I've discovered a lot more about it. So Riesling does not always have to be super sweet. That's what usually people think. They say, oh, it's Riesling, it's going to be sweet. And I'm like, this is a very dry Riesling. This is 13% alcohol. So yeah, this is this is not a sweet Riesling. This is a dry Riesling. You could tell sweetness level basically in the alcohol content. In general, lower alcohol means higher sweetness, and that's just chemistry because when you're making wine, yeast plus sugar equals alcohol. So if you have a lot of sugar left over, the yeast has not eaten it and made alcohol. So therefore, that's why you have a lower alcohol content in sweet wines. Or you can find one that's still kind of on the sweeter side, but has a higher alcohol content, like this one, a bit drier.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay. So when you give it a smell, I don't know if everyone else is drinking a Riesling with me. Ones from Germany have this certain scent in here that's much stronger, but the ones in Alsace is a bit more understated, and that's why I like them more. But it smells like wine. You're going to get the apple. You're going to get the honeysuckle. You're going to get maybe a little honey in there. You're going to get all those scents. And then there's one other scent that I bet everyone's smelling right now and going, I don't know what this is, but there's a weird scent in it. And when I tell you what it is, it's going to make a lot of sense. So that weird smell you smell on top of it, petrol, gasoline. Anyone ever get the gasoline smell? Because I smell it. But I know that sounds disgusting, but you want that smell in a Riesling. It's actually good for it. It's just like this chemical compound that's in the Riesling grape. And it's like 40 letters long, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but it's called TDN. And it's just a natural byproduct from the grape when they age. it produces that apple and nectarine and petrol smell. And it just happens when a good aging on your Riesling, you want that smell. The ones from like Germany and the Mosel, much stronger gasoline smell than the ones from Alsace in France, although Alsace is right next to Germany, so it's all the same area. So you're getting kind of the same wines, but it's a different winemaking style, so it's a bit lighter. Mm. Okay, I love it. It's so good.
I've definitely smelt a gasoline smell on, like, to me the word is like harsh. I don't know, using fancy, but like sharper taste. But it
doesn't taste like gasoline, but it does have that petrol smell.
Yeah, it will like hit you in the face kind of. But I told her I'm kind of a chick and I like them to taste like candy, so I have a bit of a sweeter one right now because I was like, I'm a weakling. I would like it to taste like I'm drinking candy.
No. There has a time and a place. Like, mind you, my German, I don't have the best pronunciation, but like, you know, a lot of them are in German. And if you're looking for, especially a German Riesling, but you want a sweeter one, you want to look for the word Spätlese in it, or Auslese. And then there's gets even bigger, like Trockenbeerenauslese. So Spätlese means it's more of like a Vendage tardive. It's late harvest. So the grapes have sat in the vine a little longer, so those sugars have concentrated. So it makes it a bit sweeter. That's kind of where I like to be, because I don't like to get into like more of the unctuous side of Riesling, where you get to Auslese. And Auslese usually means it's been affected by this something called botrytis, which the common term is noble rot.
Oh,
which,
sure.
Yeah, which sounds disgusting, but it's a kind of mold that grows on grapes, and they make wine out of it. The best dessert wines in the world, like Sauterne from Bordeaux in France, highly affected with botrytis, and they sell it for like $300 a bottle. Frankly, $300 for a half bottle. Like, it's a very rare thing. And it's perfectly safe to drink. It just basically shrivels the grape up. So all of those sugars are now hyper concentrated. So when they make the wine out of it, it's just sugar fest. And then you have like Trockenbeerenauslese, which means they literally go through it and they just pick the best berries that have botrytis. So it's very rare wine because they have to pick it by hand.
Interesting.
So
funny,
if you want,
that we'll pay more for rotten things. Like, you know,
I mean, it's wine. It's already fermented.
It's not rotten. It's fancy.
It's fancy.
Everything.
Give me my fancy mold. Yeah, botrytis. But like you can taste it. It's unctuously sweet.
Yeah. You know, one time someone just made it because they're like, oh shoot, they're bad. Well, they're gonna ferment. It'll be fine. And they're like, oh wow, this tasted good. Let's make it special. Charge for money, because we're fucked up like that.
Yeah. They also have this wine. It's called ice wine. I mean, in German, it's EIS. In like Canada, it's ice, like ICE. But it's the same thing, ice wine. And basically, in some areas, if the grapes happen to freeze on the vine, all those sugars are now stuck as well. And they just make the wine out of the frozen grapes. So that's also super unctuously sweet, but very, very expensive because it's very hard to produce, because you're getting much less juice out of every grape because they're frozen. So that's another one. Also related to Riesling, usually they make it out of the same grapes, but yeah. If you're going to be drinking Riesling, surprisingly, I don't think a lot of people think of this, but Rieslings are fan-effing-tastic with Asian food. Especially because of some of them have a lower alcohol content. And you want something with, you don't want something with a high alcohol content and a spicy food, because it's just going to make both taste worse. The spice in the food, the capsaicin, you know, from the chili peppers, it's going to just react with the tannins or the alcohol in the wine. It just make it taste like fire. And then the alcohol in the wine is going to react with that the same way. It's going to make the food even spicier. So for someone like me, and I like my food like thermonuclear spicy, like this would be great. I don't think I need to go into a sweeter option.
Right.
But like if you're having like Thai curry or Indian curry or something, get like a spatlesa. It's like it blends beautifully. So if you're having spicy food, go with this. But yeah, I really like it. This one's a bit drier, so it's not as, the unctuously sweet, but like that has its time and a place for it. If you like it, drink it. You go, you do you, girl. And you got one from Columbia Valley, or where was it?
I did, yeah. It says Columbia Valley. I got a really It has like a dragon in them, which is kind of cool.
Washington, yeah, that kind of area has a similar climate to Alsace, so it's probably a similar vibe, which is good. And yeah, I like it. I like the drier ones personally, but I just did have a spatlesa the other day with some Thai food, and it was fantastic. So I do recommend. And they always have interesting flavors. Like I feel like the ones from the Mosel in Germany, much more of a petrol smell than the ones from Alsace. It's a bit more delicate from Alsace. But definitely the petrol smell. I got nectarine and apple, honeysuckle. It's got a lot of like really dainty flavors.
Mine says it has peach and pineapple and honeysuckle. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can taste it for sure.
Yeah, it depends. Like when you have wines from a cooler climate in particular, it's kind of odd that they would have so much stone fruit in Washington, but in general, wines from cooler climates are going to be more acidic. You're going to get that citrus note. You're going to get the green apple, like the sour fruits. When the climate is colder, you're going to get that flavor. When you have a much warmer climate, for example, like California, you get much more like tropical flavors.
Right.
And then sense. When you get, I could see the stone fruit in Washington. I just don't really know. I think it's colder there than maybe it actually is. When you have like that medium kind of temperature where it's a little cold but it's a little warm, usually get those stone fruit flavors like nectarine, peach.
They're also very kind of things. I mean, Washington's out very wet, so maybe that's, and it's in a valley, so I don't know. Maybe that's why they're able to grow more tropical type, like a pineapple or whatever.
Yeah, well, tropical would be definitely from California. If you're having a California Riesling, you would definitely get those like tropical notes because it's much warmer. Yes, I can see the stone fruit. It's kind of a moderate climate there. So you get like peach and stuff. Yeah, I'm going to get like a little bit of nectarine in mine. It's mostly like kind of green apple and honeysuckle. A little bit of nectarine though. I get that little bit of stone fruit flavor. But yeah, I really, really like it. And personally, I go for an Alsace Riesling. That's my vibe. But you do you, honeydew. It's basically I love Thai food. I love Indian food. So it's like a natural pairing for me just to go in there. And we all learned something. I don't even know. I don't even want to try to pronounce TDN. It's like trimethyl dihydronaphthalene. I don't know. There's like 40 letters in it. So, but yeah, TDN. It's this naturally what happens when Riesling grapes age. It makes a petrol smell. So, fun facts. I scienced everybody for a good 10 minutes.
Love it. I'm reading. There's some smart people in the comments too. I was reading one. I was like, these are all words I've never heard before, so it's all good to me.
Yeah.
And things.
Yeah, I have such lousy German pronunciation. I'm not going to even try to. That's why I didn't say any of those words, Beth, but you called me on it.
Yeah.
I don't have good pronunciation, so I just didn't say them. There we go. In the New York wine area? Yeah. The New York, the Niagara Falls area in particular in Canada, there's a lot of ice wine made there. So those are great. They're expensive, but they're great. Perfect. I think I said them all those. The Spatlesa, Auslese, Baron Auslese, Trockenbaron Auslese, and then the ice wine. Beth, killing it with all the knowledge. I love it. But yeah, that's the levels. Like basically, I only really go up to Spatlesa because I don't really like it super sweet. And if I'm eating with spicy food, I like the spice. I don't need to cut it that much. So I'll go up to like a Spatlesa, but otherwise I don't go up any higher. see. Yes. Whenever, as soon as I say, you get the petrol smell, everyone goes, that's what it is. Like, no one knows what it is until you say petrol. They're like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. At least that's what happened in my wine classes when I took them to get my certification. But anyway, I am enjoying my wine.
Yes.
And Jen has been pre-gaming this. So you got your wine, and then you also have a whiskey.
I have a peanut butter whiskey, which is really good. But I was like, we'll jumpstart this. And since we're talking about, I was like, let me just chug a little bit of whiskey here first. Get us started.
Nice.
But anyway, I can't help it. I'm a weird mixture where I like sweet wine and I don't even really like whiskey, but I want to like it. So I keep making myself drink it. But, maybe this upcoming season of Outlander, when I drink it every single week for 3 months, maybe I'll get there this time.
Yeah. I have really tried. I spent so many years trying to like hard liquor and then just realized I don't. I'm just going to drink wine because that's what I like. Like if I go to a bar, like I'll order like a gin and tonic, which is like, it just tastes like lime. I'm never going to order a whiskey. That's just who I am as a person. And I've accepted it, Yeah.
This one actually is like, I really can taste the peanut butter in it. It tastes really good. But
yeah, my boyfriend is a bourbon guy. But he's from Kentucky, so I guess it's also just like being proud of being from Kentucky, I guess.
I like brandy the most is my favorite because it's not as harsh. There's this apple brandy by E&J that like I can drink that straight with just with like one ice cube in it. I can drink it straight is what I mean.
Well, I mean that's normal. I know you're supposed to cut it with a little bit of water.
Yeah, because I'm like, But otherwise, I usually put like soda water with whatever I'll have. Like, vodka can get me in trouble. So, but anyway, peanut butter whiskey.
I'll get like a vodka cranberry on occasion. I don't know, with orange.
Maybe.
Yeah,
interesting.
I guess peanut butter and orange marmalade is like a thing. I guess you could do that. No judgment. Drink what you want to drink.
I think it's just a little spritz of orange, right?
Yeah.
Old fashioned, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. I bought one too. See, I have Johnny Walker. I also bought a thing of we were talking about how expensive stuff is. I was like, oh, I should get some Johnny Walker. And I looked at how much the bottle is and I was like, Jen, you were gonna have one shot of that and then never drink it again. That's what they make small bottles for. So I have Johnny Walker there for later, but I was like, let's do peanut butter instead. We don't need to hurt ourselves today. But that's the Scotch whiskey. So I was like, let's get that one. No.
Yeah. Also, hi.
Hey.
Congrats.
You're spending time with us when your daughter's getting married? That's nice.
She could be getting married later.
Yeah. Or maybe she lives in a different place. I shouldn't assume. But
yeah.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. Congrats. Good luck, etc. I mean that in the best way. I don't have a lot of other things to say besides congrats and good luck. And then however else you want me to say that.
Yeah. Kind of shocking. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, oh.
That's what I meant. I was reading it.
Sure. The plot thickens.
Oh, that's right.
No, that's unfortunate.
I forget. Well, thank you for spending time with us. We hope we are even marginally as entertaining as your daughter's wedding.
Yeah, shotgun wedding. I mean, you know what? Go for it. I'd be down. Like, the idea of having a huge wedding, it just makes me want to throw up. Like, I'll just go to Vegas. Fuck it,
Yeah.
But I'm just, surprisingly for all the romance novels I read, I'm not that much of a romantic.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But anyway, so speaking of romance novels.
Yeah.
Jen is here to discuss Highlander romances with me because you know what? I love a good kilt lifter. I love kilts.
I'm ready to go.
Nice.
But also, that's not technically a romance. So we have other stuff to talk about. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Also, the plot is thickening again. Hey.
Well, I mean,
double congrats. I'm a February baby. I'm an Aquarius.
I like it.
Your grandchild can join the club. Anyway, so I pulled off from my shelf. I pulled out a few Highlander romances that I have enjoyed, and then a few more that I want to read. And I figured, hey, let's throw them in here. I feel like, Jen, you've read many more than me, so you would be more of an expert even. I'm just, I am a fan, perhaps not an expert.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I'm excited.
I pulled down a whole bunch, and I didn't just pick historicals. I picked other examples of Highlander romance that are maybe not historicals.
I thought about that. I've read a couple, but I don't own any of them. So I'm excited to see it.
I'll just do my ones I brought up that are not historical, because why not? Let's just get those out of the way, and then we'll just deep dive in historical.
Yeah.
Okay, so I pulled out A Hunger Like No Other.
Yeah. I was like, she means Cressley Cole.
There's so many Scottish werewolves in this.
Monroe comes out in a month, so
allegedly, like I've been hurt before.
No, it is.
I pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it, but I've been hurt before.
Like literally, like signed up for the arc of that one. Cross my fingers, but I think it's real this time. Robert Pickoff, ready to read it. We're ready to go. So
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know like all of Cressley Cole's personal life. I remember she got into a bad accident several years ago, and like had a lot of health issues, and then like it's been years since she's published a book.
Yeah, well, and then it's the publishing thing too. If she's not with so hopefully this means she's like healthy and good. I mean, she has that book and one of her YA ones ready to go. But anyway, sorry. Hunger Like No Other. I'm a tangent person. I'm excited about this.
I mean, like this series, the first romance I ever read was book 4 of this series, because I was in college and my friend was like, hey, a ghost and a vampire do it. You should read this. And I was like, I should read this. I should read this right now. And then I went back and I started over again and I read the whole series. And now I've just been waiting for years for another book to come out. But consistently, some of the best paranormal romance out there. Scottish werewolves. I mean, Scottish guys are always werewolves. They've been vampires and stuff too, but I don't like it as much as I like them being werewolves. Because, you know, it's the Highlands. They got to run around and shit. Like, I don't want them to be vampires.
They fit the werewolf prototype best because it's that, like, animalistic, in touch with the land.
Yeah. Running through the moors. Like, I don't want some vampire guy. But, like, which one is it? There's, like, Scottish vampires in some of those books. Carolyn Sparks, I think, her series.
Oh, okay.
Which I got rid of because they're Scottish vampires, but let me talk about this for a minute. So Carolyn Sparks is an older white lady, and there's a lot of them out there, and that's fine.
Right.
But she writes
there is.
She writes these characters that are obviously like young black men, for example. And I'm like, I don't think you've ever talked to a black person before. And it just comes off like, cringe.
Ouch.
Like, so I'm like, I can't read this. I like, and they're not even that good that I can like overlook some things. I'm just like, like full body cringe.
She's someone I haven't read hers, but I read pretty much like everybody else from her era, I think, except her. You know, like I read Feehan and I read Kenyon and I read Cole and I
love Kenyon.
All those.
I still haven't read Feehan though. I have some Feehan, I still haven't read it.
Feehan, she was my first. The Carpathians were my first. They were.
My friend in college too loved that series, but she didn't give me the book, so I didn't read it.
I have this here. I found that
it's her fault.
So, funny story. These ones originally were with Love Spell. Does this look like it's a paranormal contemporary romance?
No.
No.
It could pass for paranormal, but I'm not saying that's contemporary. Right.
I actually just found another one of them that has the Love Spell, because the first 5 of them came out with this before they started getting the, the covers that look paranormal and everything. And it's just so funny to me how books were published then. It just makes me laugh so much. That literally looks like it's a historical, like it literally looks like it's a historical. But anyway, Feehan was great. She was great.
Yeah.
But
I still want to read some.
Yes.
I haven't done it yet.
I did think of one that is a contemporary paranormal. I'm reading her series right now, Jenica Snow. She has one. I can't remember what the first one's called because I wasn't prepared for that until you brought that up. But she has this series where there was triplet brothers and a sister. It literally reminded me of Brave. Just gonna say that it kind of reminded me of Brave, but it's very erotic.
So Sexy Merida.
Yes,
there was a book I called Sexy Merida. It's by Lindsay Sands.
But her parents are, the dad is like a werewolf king of the Lycans, and her mom is a vampire princess. So all of these children are vampire werewolf hybrids, and the sons all went more towards the Lycan side, so they all like present as a werewolf, and the girl, she like presents as a vampire. So it's very, let me find one. I just read it, but the newest one coming out is a vampire one, but the first three were all Scottish. There's all Scottish werewolves. Fated Mate. Here we go. The first one is Big Bad Wolf.
And that looks contemporary.
Scottish. Yeah, that one's Scottish. But that series is coming out right now. And the first one is a novella, but all the rest are like regular size ones. So
okay.
Yeah, I love that.
Good stuff.
You're very sexy.
So I have one more that's contemporary and not paranormal, but it's still Highlander.
Okay. Oh.
Hashtag Sword Bay. Hashtag Sword Bay. He's a Scottish grumpy guy who finds out accidentally he's a duke, even though like legally that's not how it works, but we're not getting into that. Who cares? That's not why I'm reading the book.
There are no accidental dukes. There are
none. Dukes. There's none.
There's a finite list of dukes. I love it.
I don't care. That's not why I'm reading the book.
Right. Oh, for sure.
I'm not reading this for accuracy.
No.
I want to see like a hot, grumpy Scottish guy swinging a sword. That's why I'm here, and it gave it to me. So Highlander romance, contemporary, not paranormal, just a hashtag Sword Bay. So I brought it out. I was like, you know what? It counts for Highlander romance. There's no kilt, and it hurts me, but it's okay. It's okay. There could be if you wanted one.
I wonder if I have any, because that's the thing is that I read a lot of mafia, and there's Irish mafia, right? There's Irish mafia and Russian mafia, and there is a cartel and the Dobro and all of that. But I don't know if there's like a Scottish mafia. There's gotta be.
At the very least, there's soccer hooligans. I don't know if they count as a mob.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to look into that because I've read pretty much all of the options that there is.
Like I think everybody's got a mob. Even the Amish have a mob. If they have a mob, there's probably a Scottish mob.
Right, because it's just organized crime. It doesn't have to. Yeah. I'm just wondering if it has a name. Like I recently read one that is like the Yakuza, is that I think that's
Japanese. Yeah.
I don't know. I like whatever structure because somebody's mafia, they always have an enemy. And then I like to read like, okay, well now I want to find that person and read it from their point of view. Because there's always someone who does the worst things than they do. When I'm like, y'all are fucking rapists and murderers and drug hustlers anyway. Nobody is good here. That's not what I'm looking for.
You're not an altruistic mobster.
Yeah, I don't want you to try to have moral high ground, okay?
By the way, they do. There's a documentary about it. I don't remember where it is, but there's an Amish mob, and it's crazy. They all have like those chin beards, no mustache, chin beards, and an angry attitude.
I love it.
Okay, so those are my like outliers. They're Highlander romance technically, but not historical.
Okay.
So Jen, do you have any outliers that you picked, or?
I don't. I mean I thought I had more contemporary ones, but I think those are probably it. Would be the same as yours. For me, it would be the Cressley Cole ones and that. because I can't think of any other. Oh! Isn't I just thought of one. The Rebecca Weatherspoon, the Zenny one. He's Scottish.
Wait. Zinni.
Yeah, that's the one.
Is
They're
he
both
Scottish?
bisexual. There's Peggy.
I don't think he's Scottish though. I think he's maybe Scottish, but he's not Scottish.
Okay. Well,
I don't think he has an accent. Or does he?
I didn't listen to the audiobook, but I thought
he might. I don't remember. I remember a lot of the jokes in that book because I laughed a lot, but I don't remember if he's Scottish or like American Scottish.
Yeah.
Zenny, okay. We're getting confirmation. We're getting confirmation.
Yes.
He does literally play bagpipes. You're right. Okay. He does.
I was like, I remember being like, ooh, and because I liked that one. I like a lot of Rebecca Weatherspoon. She does.
Yeah. She's like, you know what? We're here for smut and I'm going to give it to you. And healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm. Communication and kinkiness. That is all.
I love her. She used to work at the Rip Bodice, so I would get all her books signed when she was there.
Oh, I just love it. Now, Jane Henry has a book called Yes. Okay. I knew I'd seen one. Jane Henry also has the Irish series. So that's why I was like, I will have to look at that. I'm not a huge fan of Jane Henry's Mafia, but I will check that one out for sure. Okay. I have a notepad and pen to write these down because I know Hey, I'm always willing to give an author another go because there could always be that one book.
Yes. You might have read the bad one. I always try to give at least 2. Yeah. Here's another one. Katie McAllister's Men in Kilts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can't fuck with Carrie Marie Moaning.
Nope. That's my thought.
You too? Are we best friends now?
I've tried the book, but also I know a little too much shady shit. So we won't.
I just hated her book. Like Dark Fever, I read it and like the sheer rage it like ignited in my soul. Like it was so bad and I hated it.
I hate
it.
Yeah.
Dark Fever?
I didn't even make it far into it because to me it's like, okay. I didn't continue because I had too many friends who said what you said. So like I tried it. But also I had all these people being like, "Oh, once you get this far in, you'll like it." And I was like, I understand. As a lover of some series that takes some time for people to like them, like I have series I love like that. But that doesn't mean that at my current time in my reading life, I don't have time to commit to a series that I will get that far into and then only have like feelings about. Like if you really tell me that if I'm going to read 5 books and this will be my favorite thing I've ever read, I will do it. But nobody could tell me that. So I was like, it's not going to happen.
Hated it so much. It was for a book club, so I had to read it. And I remember having it on audiobook and like doing my commute and just screaming in the car. Yeah. It's like, ah! Like I was so mad the whole time. Because there's rage reading it.
There's different, like the point I was making with this too is like there are some series that I call them most affectionately. I call them lovable trash, which I know you're familiar with. We've talked about this before. Like there's series for me, like I love the Crossfire series. It is lovable trash. I even like 50 Shades of Grey at the time. Lovable trash. I just read the Hunted series by Ivy Smoke. Lovable trash. Like I don't have anything against the book, but it's like I finished the series and I'm like, that was like a 3-star series, but I had a great time. So it was worth it, you know? But that series didn't seem like it would be that kind of thing where I would devote the time to it. So anyway, but you are correct that it is Scottish. Whoever said that, you're not wrong.
You are absolutely right. I'm so bummed that I forgot. Also, Legend Board, phenomenal. Yep. I loved it so much. I've already pre-ordered the next book. I'm so happy for you that you're reading it.
And the thing too, I think is it's all about timing. Like I was talking about that with someone about, there's a specific Lisa Kleypas book that's everybody's favorite. And I think it was timing. Like it was timing.
Devil in Winter?
No. I mean, people like that. I'm talking about Dreaming of You. That's everybody's favorite. Well, that is like, they're like, oh my gosh. No, they're like, Derek Craven's the best. And I don't have a problem with him. I read the book and I was like, wow, it's a Kleypas hero. He was great. He was very angsty, has a lot of self-hatred. But I like 10 other heroes better than him. Like, easy peasy. And there's a day named after him. There's a Derek Craven day. And I was like, guys, we realize that she has way better heroes than this, right? Can we agree that there's way better heroes than Derek Craven?
I don't like Kleypa's heroes. I stopped reading her books because, like, okay, here is a trope. I don't know if this is actually a trope or just something I have, like, invented for myself. And is the trope of no dick is that good.
I know you're
okay.
Dick is that good.
Like,
I think the dick is that good. So
there's no dick is that good where he's like a complete asshole the whole time. Like, girl, like, no dick is that good.
Yeah. I like, my personal feeling though is that the arc of Sebastian St. Vincent from the very first book he's in until the most recent book that came out is probably my favorite arc over like 12 books that I've ever seen an author do. Devil in Disguise, like, completes the arc of this character, and it's beautiful. But I'm not making you feel that way. You could feel that. I think there's too many people who are completely Kleypas fans, so you can be the person who's not. You be the person who's not.
You know what? Kleypas is fine. She's fine. She doesn't need me to fight her battles for her. She's fine. No.
Yeah,
she's good.
She's got it.
But I've tried. I've read several books. I've read several, and now I can say, like, you know, I'm good.
You did it. That's all that people can ask of you.
I gave it a fair go.
There's the other authors for me like that. Like, speaking of a Scottish hero, we'll throw it in. Like, I'm not on the Sarah McLean train. And I love the woman.
She's very hit or miss. I love her too. She's hit or miss for me though. Have you tried Bombshell? The most recent one.
Sorry, I won't be reading that one. Because my friend, like, I will not like that book.
Oh, that one I actually liked. I was like, oh, is this Sarah McLean? It doesn't feel like Sarah McLean.
So my problem, well, and maybe someday when I am like really desperate for one of hers, but I blew through her books at the beginning of this year. Like, I did like reading vlogs where I read her Rules of Scoundrels and I read the Wicked Wallflowers and read that. And I just don't like being preached at in books. I do not like it. I don't need the feminist agenda hammered. I am on it. I am it. I am there. And when I feel like I'm being preached to in a book, I just can't. And there was too many in a row that felt like I was being preached to. I was like, you can have a book where you're like, I'm diving into these issues.
Yeah.
And then there's a thing where, like, I don't need this to be my love story. Like, I want to read the book where it's an arranged marriage and this happens. I want to read the book where it's just a smutty good time and there doesn't have to be a deeper meaning every time. And I think part of it is that I read all her books in a row. Like, I've read all of them in a row except for one of them. And I was just so like burned out of it. So Bombshell, if I get to it, I'll wait until like that series is complete maybe. Okay. But my best friend who loves her, the one I do book club with, Crystal, she was like gonna give it a 3-star until the last, like, she's like, the very end of it wrapped it up for me. And I was like, yeah.
There's a lot of capers.
Yeah, I was like, I would burn it at that point because
they had to hide a body and stuff. Because there's a lot of like zany capers, and I liked it.
Yeah, they sound great. Like, I love the idea of the Hell's Bells. So again, like, maybe someday I'll be ready to read it. But she does this thing that my friend has actually named it because from a saying in New Girl, it's called white fanging. When you have sex with the person, you're very emotional. And then one of the people says, I have to break up with you because I'm not good enough for you. I have to leave you. And they just leave a person after a very tender emotional moment. And that can work sometimes because someone can freak out about their emotions. But what it became with reading all of Sarah McLean's books in a row, she uses that trope in every single book. They have sex and one of them runs away. And I'm just like, you are not emotionally cool. And like, you can't do this in every book because it's just gross. Like, I don't like your heroines.
There's a lot of hitting it and quitting it. Yeah.
But she writes great books. She writes a fun book. But, ooh, Kerrigan Byrne. Now, let's not throw such stones, Floor.
You know what? I have The Highwayman, and I haven't read it yet. And part of me...
We're going to talk about Kerrigan Byrne. We're going to talk about Kerrigan Byrne.
I love it. Okay, so Kerrigan Byrne was, like, recommended to me by so many people. Remember Lauren? She's not on BookTube anymore. But anyway, she told me to read it, and then, like, I originally picked it for Blades and Bodice Rippers book club, but like thinking about making Leanna read that, like, I'm like, she's not going to be friends with me anymore.
So what aspect? I'm just honestly asking because I know, like, I've watched Leanna's channel quite a bit too. So what like things drive her crazy in a romance? Like, what is it that she doesn't?
I just feel like she's not gonna like anything in there. She doesn't like people who are irrational, I would
Okay.
say. I think that's a common thing, like making emotionally based decisions.
Ooh. Romance.
And I feel like, you know what? I made her read Tessa Dare and she liked it. So like I
Yes.
have hope.
I saw that video. I mean, Tessa Dare, like, so here's the thing that I wanted to bring up too, because when we were talking about this before, like it started or whatever, you really like your romance to be just zany and fun and the kilt lifting part. That's why I said we should talk about the difference between a kilt lifter and like a more emotional one.
Yeah.
Because I like both. I love both. I want it to just be fun. But something I really love about the Scottish genre in general is the grittier ones they can get into, because there's lots of strife, you know, with the Scottish versus the British, depending on the time period the book is taking place in, whether it is a Culloden timeline romance or whether it's one that takes place 50 years after it and the Scottish people are being, you know, they've lost everything. So they're the outsiders of society because of that, which is very interesting. And the thing I'll say about Kerrigan Byrne's books is she's definitely, I mean, these are Victorian, so it's not that you're not really dealing with Scottish issues. It's just that the people are Scottish that are in these ones. But this book this is a dark romance. This is a dark romance. Like the themes that we're dealing with childhood assault. There's murder. There's a child going to prison. You know, there were these kind of things. And then this is a, you know, reconnecting of the couple 20 years later type of thing. And so this book is like, it's very special to me because I like dark romance. I like historical romance. Kerrigan Byrne meets in the middle for me. And she writes some of the spiciest like historicals that I've read. So I think, and that's why I asked like what she doesn't like, because there is so much conversation to be had about this book and the themes that happen in it. And this one has like the underbelly of, you know, London, and this whole series kind of has that. So that's just why I asked like what she doesn't like, because I wouldn't say that this book really has a rational behavior. I don't know if you've heard that from someone else or you just whatever.
I don't know. I just knowing like I just have a vibe. I'm just vibing on it. I don't know, because like I feel like the really bodicey ripper stuff is not like, here's the thing. I constantly want to impress Leanna with books.
Right.
Because she's a hard person to impress. And I'm just like, I feel like if I make her read this, she's gonna not like it, and then just be like, "Do I need to be friends with Amanda?" Like, that's gonna be her thought process.
I think it's funny too, because I don't think that quite bodice rippers maybe is what you like need, even because Tessa Dare, she's not a bodice ripper.
No,
like, you know, and so I mean, it's okay. I love.
Well, I mean, I think she's bodice ripper adjacent. There are some bodices that are ripped in those books.
Well, yeah, but there's this woman on TikTok. I don't know if you follow her. She's this amazing flaming lesbian, she calls herself. She's amazing. She wears overalls and talks about bodice rippers, and like bodice ripper, I mean, all the women are assaulted in those. The heroes are the villains. They're really mean and cruel, and so that's why I say yeah, that's what bodice ripper was. It was from the beginning of.
Oh, I have a different definition, I think.
right. But bodice ripper is like, it's a time period when the books were written from like 1972 when the first one came out, The Flame and the Flower, until like the early 90s when there started to be, you know, authors who were writing a little more romantic. Like the heroes were all mean. Like they were the villains. That's literally like what the bodice ripper means. But now we just say bodice ripper to be anyone that has a clinch cover on the front, and like that's not what they were. So that's why we say like Tessa Dare, Julia Quinn, just because their books, you know, are a historical romance and there are, you know, clothes getting pulled off. Bodice ripper really was like, they were really fucked up couples who still ended up staying together at the end, which is just great. Yeah, like Jude Deveraux, Catherine Coulter, Kathleen Woodward, all those. But yeah, Tessa Dare is definitely more. She wouldn't let her heroines be with a hero who treated her that way. Like it just wouldn't happen, which is great. Like that's how romance evolves. So we don't have that stuff anymore. But anyway, my point being is that I think that Kerrigan Byrne, she writes some romances where you have to really like think about them and digest them. Like the second book in the series, The Hunter, is about an assassin who he's sent to kill the heroine because she knows something she shouldn't know. And he actually was raised in a prison where he saw his mother like assaulted every day, all the time. And so he doesn't like to be touched because he was raised in a prison. So he sees this woman he's supposed to kill and he instantly falls in love. So it's like insta love. And now he can't murder her. He can't murder her. And every time he tries to murder her, he ends up kissing her instead. But that
he has
one
some problems. He's having some issues.
He has deep-seated issues that he has to work through.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's not a kilt lifter one. This is definitely more of a her books really make you think about it. So this one's definitely a lot darker. This is the other one by her I wanted to recommend, All Scott and Bothered. This one has a plus size heroine. Can't really tell from the cover. And our hero is actually I think he's a chief justice for a court, and he's Scottish. And she inherits a brothel when someone dies. And it turns out, well, I don't want to spoil this part of it, but this brothel is supposedly doing some bad stuff. So he gets sent to like investigate her. And he's like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. I don't want to arrest her. Anyway, it's more complicated than that, of course.
But that's how easy it was. It's like, oh, she's really hot. I can't arrest her.
It's not quite that easy, but yeah, I love this one. So anyway, those are my Kerrigan Burns that I put forth. She's pretty good.
All of mine are rom-coms, I'm realizing, because I'm a rom-com kind of girl.
Oh, I have some rom-coms in here too. Those are
I'm just gonna go through all three of my rom-coms, and then you can think about this question for a hot second, so you can give a good recommendation.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So while you're thinking, my three rom-coms I pulled were, of course, An English Bride in Scotland by Lindsay Scans. Yeah. The whole series are rom-coms and they're zany and they get stupider as they go, but it's okay. This is my mini Snickers book, and I've used this analogy before, where every book in this series it's like a bag of mini Snickers. Like every mini Snickers you eat, it tastes exactly the same, but it's okay because you like mini Snickers, and that's how this series is. It's always the same plot, kind of for all of her books. There's always a murder mystery. Someone's trying to kill this lady, and they got to figure out who's trying to kill this lady, and there's several attempts on her life, and then like just stupid ways they end up like having sex. Like I think one of the later books, like he literally is trying to pick her up and he falls into bed with her, literally. Mind you, he falls into the bed where her sick dad is sleeping, like unconscious, and they start kissing and stuff. You're literally fucking on her dad. No. Oh my gosh, it's so weird. But yeah. If you just want zany kilt lifting goodness, this is a fun series. And I also pulled out Waiting for a Scot Like You. Loved it. It's based kind of like on 80s like rom-com movies. It has like a dash of Footloose, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And this is a older woman, younger man situation. I would say a brat tamer situation. And very much grump sunshine. She is a widow, and she's like, hey, my kids are grown. I'm going to orgies. I'm living my life, having a good time. He's very grumpy. He was in the military, and he's got to escort her up north. And she's just like, I'm wild. And he's like, I don't like that you're wild, but like secretly I do. Secretly, I'm going to tame your bratness. And then they just do it a lot. And like, it's great. I love Eva Lee. She's very sex positive.
She is.
And then, of course, like, who would I be if I didn't say When a Scot Ties a Knot by Tessa Dare? Like, have you met me? Like, it always comes down to Tessa Dare. Like, that's like my reputation is Tessa Dare, and I'm fully okay with this. So, premise here. There's this woman. She is not wanting to date or get married and stuff, so she invents a boyfriend, invents a fiance. And she's like, he's Scottish and he's in the military, so he's not here. That's why he's not here. I'll write him letters, la la la. So she keeps writing these letters to Captain Mackenzie. Turns out, whoopsie daisy, they keep getting delivered to this guy, Captain Mackenzie. And he's just like, I don't know
just
who you
one.
are.
The fact that there's one Captain Mackenzie is the hilarious part of this.
Yeah, and they keep getting to him, and he's just like, listen, there was a lot of hoes I could have been fucking, but like I couldn't because everyone thought I had a fiance lady. Like he is not happy about this. And then like the war is over, he shows up on her doorstep, and he's like, hey, what's up? I'm Captain Mackenzie. And she's like, no. And she's like draws things for nature books. She's trying to watch these lobsters have sex. She's been waiting for these lobsters to do it for so long. Zany rom-com, Scottish delights, funny stuff. Tessa Dare, you can't go wrong. Anyway, so those are my rom-coms I pulled.
I love it. I only really have one because the other one is the same as you.
Okay.
The rest of these I have some that are like lighter, but the one I would call a rom-com, like literally, it's hilarious, is What Happens in Scotland by Jennifer McQuiston.
That looks so rom-com-y and I love it. Oh.
Yep. Which is literally like a take on The Hangover. Like this is like a take on The Hangover. This book basically takes place within 48 hours. So it's one of those.
Okay.
And so she wakes up in bed with also a James Mackenzie. So let's just.
It's always a Mackenzie.
The only name it's always James. And literally she wakes up in bed with him, and the whole town like thinks that they're married, but she doesn't remember it and he doesn't remember it. So the whole day they both spend trying to figure out what happened, and like they come across like, oh, I bought a pig last night. Like someone's like, this pig, it belongs to you. And you were dancing on tables and sitting in his lap last night. And then you got married. And there's a priest who even says that he like did the wedding and like all these things. And so they're having to unravel that. So this book was completely bonkers. And I love that. I want to read more in this series because the whole one, it's also where they're like, all the titles are like a play on kind of that kind of thing too. So
all of your recommendations, by the way, I'm adding to like my wish list so I can remember them.
Because they so that's
I want them. Give me your recommendations. Give them to me. Give them all to me.
Well, I'm excited. I will tell you specifically there's a couple where I'll be like, you have to read it. We're getting to those ones for sure.
Bound to the Warrior. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read Bound to the Warrior.
Yes, that's the next ones I was gonna show. That's a lighter book. So this whole series, this is the first book in the Warrior King series, I think it is. So it's 4 brothers, blah, blah, blah. But guys, the premise of this one, okay, is that they've both been taken captive by the king's men. This one's actually medieval too. This one's in the year 1005. So
oh shit.
Old one too. Yeah. So this one is still like Scotland doesn't really belong to anybody yet, but kind of sort of. So anyway, they are literally attached to each other because they're being held captive. They're going to be taken to the king, and they jump off a cliff together on the second page. They jump off a cliff into the water together. She can't swim, but so he's so just like enamored with her right away because he's like, this woman is so brave. She didn't even know how to swim, but she trusted me enough to jump over. And so, yeah, they're connected for a very long time. And he's so respectful to her. Like literally, he's so precious because literally they have to like sleep naked with each other because it's freezing outside and like all these things. So yeah, this was one of my favorite books of 2021, but it was also one of the first books of the year I read. So I was like, this is a 6-star book. I love it so much. And I was like, okay, it's adorable. It's fun. So anyway, this book is great.
Love it.
So
I like respectful men though.
Oh my gosh, he's so great. He's so great.
I do. I just, as a person, I'm not very easily dominated. So like, most of the time I'm just like,
yeah, I like both. I like both. I like to dominate a lot, but I like when they're in a situation like that, or when it's like a medieval romance or like an early one and the man's respectful, then I really like it because they didn't have to be. Like they didn't have to be at all. I didn't even grab like freaking The Bride. I have The Bride over here somewhere. Like Julie Garland.
It's just a me thing. I don't know. Such a fucking top. Like I can't like I can't. I'm like you should be respectful, sir. Like that's just how I feel about things.
Oh my gosh. I want that in real life. in my romances, they can be
Yeah.
as snotty as they want. That's how I feel about it. But
No, you would say please.
yeah, before I go too far, I can answer that question now. I
Yes.
wasn't sure if they just mean for historicals or if they mean in general, but I actually have I actually did a video about dark romance for beginners, and so I have some that are for both, and I'll go pretty quickly.
Okay.
I do actually recommend the Highwaymen to people as a beginning to dark romance, whether they like historical romance or they want contemporary. I recommend the Highwaymen because it has a lot of those dark themes, but it's not very graphic in the descriptions. So you know these bad things happen to them and that they have trauma to work through, but it's not in the way that like a contemporary mafia romance with a bunch of trauma, you don't have to live through it with them. You know that it happened to them, which I think that's a good way to test out, like if you, because that's something I get asked is like, I try to tell people what kind of trigger warnings there are for things.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've never read a dark romance, you might not even know that you get triggered by certain things, because I don't get triggered by pretty much anything. It depends.
Yeah.
But that's what I recommend. The other,
I don't want it on page. Like, I don't need a graphic rape scene on page. Like,
no, there can be,
I don't.
Done. I think a weak author has to lean too much into showing you every little bit of that.
It's like is anyone confused that it's terrible? Like, you don't need to put it on page.
Right.
Or if it's on page, it needs to be done in a very certain way. And like, I don't get a lot of authors who do it right. And then I'm just like, it ruins the rest of the book for me because I'm just I can't get over what that was. You know what I mean?
No, I totally, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
The other series that is historical that I would recommend is the Mackenzie series by Jennifer Ashley. I don't know if have you read Ian Mackenzie? Have you talked about him?
I don't think I have. I haven't read anything by Jennifer Ashley, I don't think.
Okay, well, this one. This has an autistic hero.
Okay.
Yes. This is a very it's controversial to some people, but the way that she writes this, it's very clear that respect is meant very well. And the things that we have to see this hero go through, again, they're not really graphically told, but how else would someone have been treated? Like, they think he's mad. He was in an asylum for a few years because he witnessed something he shouldn't have witnessed. So he's not mad, and his family knows he's not mad, but his father put him in an asylum because he saw something he shouldn't see.
That's just how people were back in the day, though. Everybody was in asylums.
Oh my God. So the setup of this one is that he's now, he's not in an asylum anymore. His father has died. His older brother is now the Duke. We will get to the Duke. He's the fucking, he's the shit. But he has his younger brother out of the asylum, and he's his guardian technically, because that's the only way they would let him out. But he has a lot of those like presentations of autism that like we can see that that's what it is. Our heroine, her name is Beth, and she's a widow. She's very, she is sexually awakened. She was married to a vicar, but he was a very like sex is a good thing from the Lord type of thing. So he wasn't all like shame you for liking sex type of stuff.
Oh, okay. So a saucy vicar.
He was a good vicar. So, but anyway, so she's wealthy because she was a lady's companion. Sorry that I'm telling a lot of setup. I adore this book. So I'm really trying to sell it.
Tell me more. I love it.
Okay. Sorry. I shouldn't be that person, but I fucking love this book. And anyway, so the way that they meet is that there's this business associate of his who is going to marry Beth. So she's going to get remarried to this person. Well, he has a bunch of mistresses. And so Ian goes to meet her with the knowledge that like if he likes her, he's going to tell her that this guy's a cheater, and if he doesn't, he's just going to ignore it because he's like, I don't need these problems, but I don't want to doom this woman to this asshole if not. And so he goes to see her. He meets her at a theater, and he sits down beside her and is just like, I must have this woman. And he's never felt that way before, right? So he's sitting by her, and like he takes her hand and is just like softly like, and she's like, who is this person? But is very fascinated by him. And he slips her a note and is like, this guy is sleeping with a bunch of people. You shouldn't be with him. And then he goes about trying to win her over. So, but this one does have yeah, this one does have the dark themes in it because of what his past is, and because, you know, like his family thinks that Beth is trying to take advantage of him. And she's like, how? Like, I'm rich. I don't need him. I just like him. And so, anyway, so that's the setup. Beth is amazing. This was in my top 3 favorite books last year with like this book and one other book. These were my top 3 books of the year.
Oh gosh, Heart of Blood and Ashes, the bloody handy, and it was like,
so this book.
There's a lot going on in there.
The other book, there's 4 brothers in this series, so this is actually book 4, but this is the Duke. And the reason why I want to point this one out is he is actually a Scottish Duke because his family, they kind of flipped during Culloden, so they weren't banished from their lands. So this is a few generations after Culloden, but he's actually in Parliament. He's like running for prime minister, and it's a very like, he's an oddity because he's the Scottish man who they weren't able to take his title away because his family like was on the side of the English at the time. So they're seen as a little bit of traitors by the other Scottish people, but also it's good because they actually have a voice in Parliament because that happened. So this book is sexy because, oh gosh, I'll tell you, I'll move on after this.
Because
his heroine, her name is Eleanor, and they were engaged when they were young, but he has a kinky side. And so he had a mistress that he did the kinky things with, and she was going to be his sweet, precious wife. He didn't want anything to dirty her. He was like,
How do you mean mistress?
Right.
Like,
what?
How do you mean mistress, though? Like,
well, like, he had a mistress that,
like,
no. He was the boss. He was the dom. He had a mistress that was that he did that with. Yeah. Anyway, so that happened. They broke up. They've been apart all this time. His mistress and him, they actually took boudoir photos together. Like, this is when photographs were just a thing. So the plot of this one is that someone has gotten the copies of his boudoir photos and is trying to blackmail him to keep him from being the prime minister. And Eleanor comes back to town to try to help because she gets sent one of these blackmail things as well to be like, look at what's happening here. And it's all very suspicious that why they're dragging Eleanor into it. And so they're pushed back together again. And he's always regretted what happened. So anyway, he is a stern brunch daddy. He is a sir. But she's this like, she takes the stuffing right out of him kind of man and type of thing. So anyway, these I would definitely recommend as they're definitely darker, but they're still pretty fun and they're very, very sexy. Like, whew, these ones are like literally there's naked photos of him that exist. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. I mean, and you had to pose for like a while to get the exposure right. Like, they had to be in the sexy pose for like 5 minutes, just like, or whatever they were doing with their hands.
Yeah.
Anyway,
some of these. So those are some darker ones I'd recommend as historical. But yes, the Saucy Vicar.
Saucy Vicar. So, Jen, I want you to give me more recommendations. But while you are doing that, in the comments, everybody, let me know what you would like to drink next time. You can pick red, white, or rosé. All of them are fantastic choices. The rosé is a little bit of a wild card. That's the only hints I'm giving you. So please put in the comments red, white, or rosé, and we will pick after Jen gives us more recommendations. So please let us know what you want to drink next time in the comments.
Yeah. Where else do I want to go? Okay.
I have some. Okay. Have you read anything by Beatrice Small?
I haven't. She just came up the other day with some of my friends.
Yeah, like I got this from a library book sale. So like it's a former library book and I bought it and I still haven't read it. Oh wait, there's a thing in it.
She writes fantasy as well.
Oh, this is from IKEA. Someone made an IKEA bookmark. Sometimes you find interesting things in library books, but
she writes historical fantasy too.
Hey, governor, let me sweep your chimney.
I haven't. I've seen her around. She's been writing since the beginning of, I feel like, too. Like, I think she's been around since the 70s, which is pretty cool. Okay, the one that I meant I really, really want you to read. So have you read many self-published historicals?
Not as many, mainly because I don't have a lot of time to just physically read. I need audio components, and like
Okay.
sometimes indie published don't always have audio.
This is perfect because she
Nice.
1000% has her audiobooks. So this is an author that I discovered just a couple months ago, Elisa Braden.
Okay.
All of her books are available on Audible. The third book in this series actually comes out in 2 weeks. But this series, the first one is The Making of a Highlander. So this one also reminds me a bit of Brave because it's a younger sister and 3 older brothers. But this one is a Englishman named John. He inherits some land, but he has to like compete in the Highland Games to like solidify his land. And the heroine, Annie, she wants to be able to get a husband to help out with some family issues. So they like, it's one of those where like they trade instruction. Like he's showing her how to be a lady and she's showing him how to be a Highlander.
Oh, I thought you meant like, these kisses are only instructional.
No. I mean, there are some, there's some, but no, it's actual like they're teaching each other.
Like more of a My Fair Lady.
Yes.
/ Highlander.
Yeah. he's learning how to do like the log throw and like all these different things they have to do for the Highland Games. And I think he has to win a certain number of them or whatever. So this is the first one. There are audiobooks. They're delightful. The second book, this one's so good. This one's shiny. I hate when there's a matte and then there's a shiny. But this one's The Taming of the Highlander. And this one's a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
I'm hit or miss with those.
Well, this one doesn't rely too heavily. This one doesn't rely too heavily. This is this is the older brother of this one, and this is the brother that like needed help in this one. He was put in prison for something he didn't do. His like eye was taken out when he was in prison.
He's got a fucking eye patch.
He has a fucking
I'm sorry I yelled that, but like I love it. Like I don't know why it makes me so excited.
And she's the younger sister of the hero from this one. And she's visiting. So she's visiting and she's out for a walk in the woods and she runs into him beating the shit out of somebody. And so she's like, oh my God, what's happening? And then when the police come around to ask more questions about him, because he's gotten out of prison and they're trying to blame him for more stuff, she is like, oh, well, I can't testify against him because we're engaged. So she just makes it up. So it's like, it's a fake thing, but her brother's like, well, you actually have to marry him now, or they're going to find out that there's no record of the wedding, and then they'll take him, and then they'll take you because you lied. So now you have to marry him. So
it's certainly a way to get a husband, I guess.
And
although that has worked in a lot of books.
Right.
So many books. He's like, oh, we're engaged, la la la. And then like they get married. That works a lot.
This one's so cute too because she's very thirsty. She's very thirsty. And he's all like, I'm a ravenous beast who's been in prison for a couple of years. I'm going to destroy you. And she's like, okay, let me take my clothes off. Let's do it. Okay. So
I got stuff to be destroyed. Let's go. Yeah. Love her. I love that intensely. I love a fake dating situation.
Because these ones have enough of the humor I think you'll love. And there is always like kind of that like mystery element. And very sexy. Like Elisa Braden writes, her steam is, it's not overpowering in the story, but when it happens, it's like, it's written really good. So she has another series that leads into this one, but these are her strongest books. So I just am like, start with these two because there's only two. And if you like them, she has a whole series that's the same. So
love it. I put it on my wish list. So like I have record of it. I go through my wish list sometimes and just buy things. So
yeah, but there's audio series. So
there are. I'm like, I'm very excited. Thank you.
Yeah, those are the ones I like really, really wanted you to read.
Okay.
And I mean, I could literally go on forever, so I can hold back if we're grounded and in here.
That's okay. So also, I just want to remind everybody, last chance to make a vote for next time. I believe red is winning, but not by much. So if you have a specific specific drink you want to drink, mind you, this is like half gone. So, you know,
yeah, for sure.
Living my life here, doing my thing. But anyway, last chance to vote. Red, white, or rosé. Red is winning, but only by 1 vote. Jen, one more recommendation while they think, and then we will make the call for next time.
Oh God, which one should I do? Let's do this one. Mary Wine has this series that is these ones are pretty funny, but these ones are 2 feuding Scottish families. And the king is like, you guys are gonna get married till you stop fighting. So it's one of those. So he like makes them get married. This one has very weird names for their characters. These ones have audiobooks, but her name is Ailish and his name is like Biak or something. I'm glad I listened. Literally, it's Bhaic. I can't even remember how it's pronounced. I listened to this, but I can't.
We could just call him Biatch. I'm fine with it.
Right. But they have one like a super contentious, like at the beginning where they're just like irrational kind of hate for each other. But this one was really fun. So I've read the first like 3 in that series, but it starts.
Oh shit!
Highland.
No, there's Spitfire and Hellion, and what was the other one? What other Highlander is there?
Yeah, there's Highland Vixen, Highland Hellion.
I had the Border Vixen. Look at us with Vixens. Vixens killing it.
Yes, I love a Vixen. But this one's fun because
it's an underrated term, I feel.
I love enemies to lovers, especially when it's like an arranged marriage. It's part of the reason why I love Mafia. Like I always say, the biggest reason I'm attracted to Mafia is that it's just a grittier step up of historicals because there's arranged marriages, there's virgin brides, there's like deals between families. There's just a lot more blood and guts usually. But in the Highlands, there's a lot of blood and guts can happen there too. So, you know.
Yeah. So I have 2 more books I pulled out because I do want to read them. And I want to ask you if you have read them already.
All right. Let's see.
So 1, This God of Mine by Sophie Jordan.
I have not.
Okay.
I
do want to read it.
Every other book. I've read every other book in that series.
So basically, there's this guy, right? He's cursed. And he thinks like, oh, my wife is going to... okay, so here's the deal. He comes from a long line of men cursed to die before the birth of their firstborn, right? And then there's this woman. She's like, I got to get out of this arranged marriage. This guy's a creep. I'm pregnant with someone else's baby, la, la, la. And she tells a lie, and she gets shipped off to Scotland to live out life as a spinster. And then the cursed guy, he's like, oh, shit, you're already pregnant with someone else's baby? This is the best idea I've ever had. Let's get married. And she's like, but, like, here's the thing. I'm not actually pregnant. Love it. It's a secret baby situation, and he also has to prove that he's not cursed to die before his baby gets born. Yeah. It's ridiculous, and I love it. So that one I'm definitely going to read.
It's a secret, non-secret baby.
Yeah.
It's a secret. It's the opposite of a secret baby.
It's just a secret. I'm not having a baby.
Solution to a secret baby.
And then my other one I picked was Hit Me With Your Best Scott by Suzanne Enoch.
Oh, that one. I've heard interesting things, so I haven't read that
one. So let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. Already. Cole McTaggart, Viscount Glendril, is a big, brawny Highlander who doesn't like being told what to do. That's the first line of the blurb.
Do they ever?
But he has his exasperated English mother who's determined to see her eldest son wedded and bedded. His mom is trying to get him laid already. Okay.
That's
so. So this lady, Persephone Jones, she shows up. She's famous, she's wealthy, she's independent, and she's super smart. And the problem is she's not interested in marrying anybody, especially not this guy who's all hot-headed and Scottish. However, and then they're like, Cole learns that Persephone is actually a lady in hiding, and someone is willing to kill for what she stands to inherit. So already we're getting very Lindsay Sands in this situation, but it's going to be a rom-com. I mean, it's a pun in the title.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, that's kind of my vibe. I love a good pun in a title. It's probably going to be zany. So those are my 3, and the Border Vixen that I've already brought up. Those are my 3 that I have on deck to read.
I'm interested. Yeah, nice. Susan Enoch, I have a lot of her older books on my shelves because she gets recommended to me a lot. She has a series that's like a bunch of rakes. So
Oh.
like I have a bunch of her on deck, but a few of my friends read the arc for Hit Me With Your Best Scott. So, and
Okay.
Lindsay Sands would be the way they describe, like that's how they described it too. So I was just like,
Yeah. But I like a good Lindsay Sands. It's my
I
mini
know.
Snickers. It's a mini
There's something
Snickers
for
book.
everybody. There's something for everybody.
It's always the same. So since I haven't seen any more picks, I believe Red won by 1 vote.
Nice.
So 2 weeks from now is usually I do this every other week, but the second I'm like, I don't know if I want to like do it on the second because I feel like, maybe not
Yeah.
everyone's into that. So I'm thinking the week afterward on the 9th. So January 9th is when I'm going to be doing my next wine chat live show. And since y'all picked red, we are going to be drinking this one. This is a Cais de Ribeira, and this is a Duoro. So this is from Portugal. And I'm very excited about it. Duoro is like, it's very rich. This one actually, they age it in old port barrels. So it's going to have like an interesting kind of finish to it. I will put a link in the description so you guys can see which one we're reading. But I do like a good Duoro, and I love Portuguese wine. I know I love Spanish too, but I'm like getting really into Portugal right now. So this is like our pick for next time. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a good time. As for the wines we did not pick, I like to show those too. So I had this Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough in New Zealand. This is intense, by the way. If you like Sauvignon Blanc, this is like a punch to the mouth from New Zealand, because New Zealand is known for Sauvignon Blanc, but their Sauvignon Blanc is just like, it's very punchy. And then my wild card rosé, which came in second place, I had a Spanish cava. So it was going to be a sparkling rosé. So this was my idea. So I had Spain, Portugal, and New Zealand. So I had a whole like different type of options. But yeah, so I had a cava, a rosé cava. But we're going to be drinking that Duoro. I'm very excited about it. So again, January 9th is our next Wine Chat live show. And it's going to be good. Jen, you have any more recommendations to lead us out? And Vivian, no, I have not tried any Greek wines, but I know they exist, and I've been tempted to look them up.
No, I think we got through the ones I wanted the most. I mean, for Scottish, I mean, Kerrigan Byrne and Jennifer Ashley are my like go-to people.
Nice.
They just write. It's
All
sexy.
right.
It's angsty. It's delightful. I love it.
Awesome. Yay. Okay. Jen, tell the people once more where to find you.
Yeah, I'm the book refuge on everything, pretty much. I mean, I even got the good old TikTok, which I don't use very often, but I'm trying to, and Instagram, my YouTube. That's where you can find me at. It's hitting me over here, so I'm just kind of like, woo!
I know you had the peanut butter whiskey and the Riesling. You picked the right wine because you didn't pick a high alcohol wine to go with the whiskey.
I know, this is true. That I'm right.
Yeah.
This is a great time. I love it.
All right, Jen, thank you so much for joining me. I think you are an expert when it comes to Highlanders. When I think of Highlander romance, I think Jen. So thank you for joining me and giving me great recommendations. I put those all in my wish list so I can like buy them later. I'm very excited, especially about Bound to the Warrior, because I know you told me to read that so long ago.
Oh my gosh.
So I have it on deck. By the way, spoiler alert, everybody, that's going to be on January's TBR. Like it's officially on it, and I'm very excited.
It's so good.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Any final words? Otherwise, we're going to start closing this on out.
Sounds good. I'm excited.
All right.
I'm excited to see what she reads next because I have a good feeling about some of these.
Yay. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. It was really fun, and happy holidays, everybody who hasn't celebrated any holidays yet. And if you already have, I hope you had a good one. Yeah. And yeah, I'll see you all next time, January 1st. I will put the link to the next wine in the description down below, so check it out. All right. On that note, I'm going to start ending this. Goodbye, everybody.